It was a Monday morning in New York, the kind of morning that looked ordinary from the outside, but felt unbearably heavy from the inside. Sophia, 29, stirred awake to the sound of her alarm buzzing. She had gone to bed early the night before, slept a full 8 hours, yet the first thing she felt was exhaustion. Not the kind that could be fixed with coffee, but the kind that seemed to live deep in her bones. She pulled herself out of bed, made her way to the kitchen, and poured hot water over the coffee ground she had measured out the night before. Routine. Everything in her life was carefully structured. Oatmeal for breakfast, gym 3 times a week, a neat row of skincare bottles lined up on her bathroom counter. To anyone else, Sophia was the picture of balance. Healthy, disciplined, responsible. But as she sat at her small dining table, scrolling through her phone, she felt her chest tighten. Email after email filled with deadlines and reminders. Slack messages waiting for answers. A calendar already crammed with meetings. She sighed, took another sip of coffee, and opened Instagram, almost without thinking. That was when the heaviness deepened. Post after post showed friends smiling in sunlight cafes, announcing promotions, traveling across Europe, posing in yoga studios with toned bodies and glowing skin. Sophia tapped through the stories, her eyes lingering on every image. They all seemed so alive while she sat there in her apartment, drained before the day had even begun. Her mind whispered questions she didn't want to hear. Why do I feel so empty when I'm doing everything right? I eat clean. I work out. I stick to my routines. I follow all the advice about how to live a good life. So why does it feel like my heart is crumbling inside me? The more she scrolled, the more hollow she felt. That gnawing ache of comparison, the quiet sense of failure that whispered, "You're behind. You're not enough." Sophia put her phone down and stared at the steam rising from her coffee. For a moment, she wondered if this was just what adulthood was meant to feel like. Constant exhaustion hidden beneath polished routines. And yet, a thought pushed through the fog. Maybe the problem isn't my body or my schedule. Maybe the problem is that I've cared for everything except the one thing that matters most. Because here's the truth most of us ignore. You can have glowing skin, a toned body, a stable career, even a calendar filled with plans. But if your mind is unraveling, none of it will feel like enough. A healthy body cannot soothe an anxious soul. Success cannot silence the voice of self-doubt. Beauty cannot replace peace. Mental health is the missing piece, the foundation that holds everything else together. Without it, the strongest routines collapse. With it, even the simplest life can feel whole. And that is what today's video is about. Welcome to Aura Rise, the space where we heal, reclaim our worth, and rise into the women we were always meant to be. Today, we're going to explore how to improve your mental health so that you don't just wake up and survive the day, but so you can truly feel alive while living it. Why mental health matters. When we talk about health, the first things that come to mind are usually the body and the surface. People ask how often you work out, what skincare you use, what diet you follow. We celebrate toned figures, glowing skin, promotions, and picture-perfect lives. But beneath all of that, there is a foundation we rarely speak about. And without it, everything else begins to crumble. That foundation is mental health. Mental health is not a luxury. It is the ground beneath your feet, the quiet force that sustains your work, your relationships, your confidence. When it is strong, you feel steady even in the middle of chaos. When it cracks, no amount of success or beauty can hold you together. A calm mind makes the body lighter. A secure sense of self makes love safer. A steady heart makes ambition meaningful. The truth is, more women than ever are struggling in silence. According to the World Health Organization, cases of anxiety and depression have risen significantly in young women over the past decade. The American Psychological Association reports that women between the ages of 25 and 40 are more likely to experience high levels of stress, self-doubt, and burnout. We live in an age where our calendars are full, but our souls are often empty. Think about it. How often do you hear people talk openly about their panic attacks, their sleepless nights, their silent tears in the shower? Almost never. And yet, conversations about workouts, diets, or career achievements are everywhere. We've learned to polish the outside while ignoring the inside, to chase the image of a good life instead of cultivating the feeling of one. Because here is the truth. A beautiful face cannot save a broken heart. A perfect body cannot heal an exhausted soul. Success looks dazzling from the outside, but if your mind is crumbling, it feels like nothing at all. That is why in today's video, we are not going to talk about how to tone your body or glow up your skin. We are going to talk about how to strengthen the foundation that carries all of it, your mental health. I will walk you through 5 practical, gentle ways to improve your mental health. Steps you can start today, no matter how busy your life may be. So stay with me, because by the end of this video, you will see that caring for your mind is not separate from living well. It is the very heart of it. The hidden struggles, signs your mental health needs care. Sophia used to think that mental health struggles only belonged to women who had lived through great tragedies, loss, divorce, illness. I have a stable job, a roof over my head, friends to meet on weekends. What reason do I have to feel this heavy? She asked herself. But the truth is, mental health does not need a dramatic reason to suffer. Sometimes it is the small, invisible cracks that wear us down. The first sign is exhaustion that no amount of sleep can fix. Have you ever woken up after 8 hours and still felt as if a weight was pressing on your chest? You go through the motions, coffee, commute, meetings, but it feels like dragging your body through quicksand. The body is rested, but the mind has not found peace. The second sign is the sense of emptiness in things that once brought you joy. Sophia remembered a time when painting made her feel alive, when Friday dinners with friends filled her with laughter. But lately, everything felt muted, like the colors had drained out of her world. She still showed up, still smiled, but inside she felt nothing. This indifference is often the mind's quiet cry for help. The second sign is the sense of emptiness in things that once brought you joy. Sophia remembered a time when painting made her feel alive, when Friday dinners with friends filled her with laughter. But lately, everything felt muted, like the colors had drained out of her world. She still showed up, still smiled, but inside she felt nothing. This indifference is often the mind's quiet cry for help. The third sign is anxiety, the constant hum of worry that never fully switches off. At work, you fear making mistakes. At home, you fear not being enough. On social media, you compare your life to everyone else's highlight reel and convince yourself you're falling behind. Anxiety is not always loud. It is the whisper that keeps you from sleeping, the knot in your stomach that tightens even when nothing is wrong. The fourth sign is physical. Mental health and the body are inseparable. Headaches that linger, stomach issues without clear cause, a racing heartbeat at night, these are not random. They are the body's way of carrying emotions you refuse to feel. Sophia once spent weeks going from doctor to doctor, looking for answers to her chest pains, only to realize they came from stress, not sickness. And the final sign is disconnection from others, but also from yourself. You stop answering messages, not because you don't care, but because you feel too drained to explain. You find it harder to recognize the woman in the mirror, the one who once carried dreams and fire. You begin to live on autopilot, existing rather than truly living. If you've ever felt these things, you know how easy it is to dismiss them. I'm just tired. It's just stress. I'll get over it, but silence only makes the wound deeper. Because here's the truth. Mental health rarely collapses all at once. It unravels slowly, thread by thread, until one day you wake up and realize you no longer recognize yourself. Sophia eventually admitted what so many women are afraid to say out loud. I look fine, but I'm not fine. And that is the first step to healing, naming the struggle, daring to see it clearly. Because hidden struggles don't disappear by being ignored. They only dissolve when we bring them into the light. 5 gentle steps to improve your mental health. Healing your mental health is not about quick fixes. It is not about waking up one morning and declaring yourself cured. It is about small, gentle steps repeated daily until they weave a stronger, softer foundation beneath your life. Sophia's journey shows us that there is no magic formula, only the courage to begin again, every day. Step 1. Journaling, writing to understand yourself. At first, Sophia felt ridiculous opening a notebook and staring at the blank page. What was she supposed to write? Her mind was a whirlwind. scattered thoughts, worries about deadlines, the echo of self-criticism. But she promised herself she would give 10 minutes each morning, just 10 minutes to let the words spill. The first entries were messy. Lists of tasks, fragments of sentences, questions like, why do I always feel behind? But over time, her writing changed. She noticed patterns, how Sunday nights always made her anxious, how seeing her ex's posts on Instagram left her hollow, how a single compliment from her boss could lift her entire day. Slowly, the chaos on paper revealed the quiet truth of her heart. When you write it down, she reflected, you stop being a victim of your thoughts. You become the observer of them. Journaling became her mirror, not of her face, but of her inner world. And with each page, she reclaimed a little clarity, a little calm. Step 2, mindful breathing, coming back to the present. One afternoon, during a meeting, Sophia felt her chest tighten, her breath shallow. Her mind raced with what-ifs, 1,000 worries competing for space. Instead of panicking, she excused herself, went into the restroom, and tried something she had read about, the 4-7-8 breathing technique. She inhaled through her nose for 4 seconds, held it for 7, and exhaled slowly for 8. At first, it felt awkward, mechanical, but after a few cycles, something shifted. Her shoulders dropped. The knot in her stomach loosened. It was as if her body had been waiting for her to remember this simple truth. Breathe. Science confirms what Sophia experienced. Breathing exercises reduce cortisol, the stress hormone, and soothe the nervous system. But beyond science, it was spiritual. Breathing, she thought, is the most human reminder that I am here now. Not in yesterday's regret, not in tomorrow's worry, just here. Step 3, digital detox, disconnect to reconnect. Sophia didn't realize how much her phone consumed her until she tried a Sunday without social media. No Instagram, no Twitter, no endless scrolling through curated lives. That morning, she made coffee, sat by the window, and opened a book she'd abandoned months ago. The world felt quieter, and so did her mind. Instead of comparing her life to polished snapshots, she noticed the steam curling from her cup, the way sunlight spilled across her floor, the sound of laughter from children playing outside. For the first time in a long time, her own life felt enough. Not every moment needs to be broadcast, she realized. Sometimes the most important audience is my own heart. Digital detox didn't mean rejecting the world. It meant choosing which voices to let in. And in that choice, she discovered the sweetness of her own presence. Step 4, gentle movement, nourishing the body to heal the mind. For years, Sophia punished herself with intense gym sessions she secretly hated. She believed sweat and exhaustion equaled discipline. But after burnout, she shifted to gentle movement, slow yoga in her living room, evening walks through her neighborhood. At first, it felt too easy. But within weeks, she noticed her sleep deepening, her mood stabilizing, her mornings feeling lighter. The goal was no longer a perfect body, but a peaceful mind. Moving gently became a form of self-respect. Our bodies are not machines to conquer, she wrote in her journal one night. They are homes to care for. By listening instead of forcing, she discovered joy in movement again, not as punishment, but as nourishment. Step 5. Seek support. You don't have to do this alone. Perhaps the hardest step was admitting she couldn't heal alone. Sophia hesitated for weeks before booking her first therapy session. What if it means I'm weak? She worried. But after 1 hour with her therapist, pouring out the thoughts she had carried in silence, she felt lighter. Not fixed, but less alone. She also began leaning on friends she trusted, answering messages with honesty instead of, I'm fine. Each time she shared, she felt the shame shrink. Therapy, community, friendship, these became her lifelines. You don't have to be strong all by yourself, her therapist reminded her. Sometimes strength is in saying, I need help, and Sophia finally believed it. Healing is not dramatic. It is the quiet decision every day to choose care over neglect, presence over distraction, self-love over self-criticism. Sophia's journey shows us that improving mental health is not about chasing perfection. It is about tending gently to your soul, like watering a garden one drop at a time. Because the truth is this, Small steps, repeated consistently, are what transform the heaviest hearts into ones that can bloom again. The transformation. What changes when you care for your mental health? Sophia didn't notice the transformation all at once. Healing rarely announces itself with fireworks. It arrives quietly, like spring after a long winter, small signs whispering, "You are changing." At first, it was her mornings. Instead of waking with dread, she opened her journal, pen in hand, and poured out her thoughts. The heaviness in her chest lightened with each page. She no longer carried yesterday's noise into today. Then came her evenings. After a digital detox on Sundays, she started closing her phone an hour before bed. She read novels instead, allowing stories to soothe her instead of endless scrolling. Her sleep deepened, and for the first time in years, she woke feeling rested. Her body followed. Gentle yoga stretches and evening walks began to shift something inside her. It wasn't about losing weight or sculpting herself into someone else's standard. It was about moving with kindness. Her shoulders, once hunched under invisible burdens, began to relax. She felt energy returning, not the frantic energy of caffeine and deadlines, but the steady hum of being at peace in her own skin. Most importantly, her mind began to speak differently. The voice that once whispered, "You're not enough," grew softer, replaced by gentler truths. "You're learning. You're growing. You're worthy." Sophia started to notice she was no longer her own harshest critic. She had become her own quiet ally. Relationships changed too. Because when you treat yourself with care, you stop tolerating those who don't. Sophia set boundaries without guilt, saying no when she needed rest, walking away from conversations that drained her. She found herself drawn to friendships that nourished her spirit instead of depleting it. And with every no she gave to what hurt her, she made space for deeper yeses to what healed her. Even work felt different. Tasks that once overwhelmed her no longer crushed her spirit. She could breathe through stress, write down her worries, and return with clarity. Her performance didn't improve because she worked harder, it improved because she cared for herself enough to work wiser. One evening, sitting by her window with a cup of tea, Sophia caught her reflection in the glass. She didn't see a woman defined by exhaustion, anxiety, or comparison anymore. She saw someone who had chosen herself again and again until it showed in her eyes, her posture, her smile. That is the quiet miracle of mental health care. It doesn't just change how you feel. It changes who you become. You stop living in survival mode and start living in presence. You stop defining yourself by what others expect and start rooting yourself in what you truly need. As Sophia wrote in her journal one night, "I used to think taking care of my mental health was selfish. Now I see it's the most generous thing I can do. For myself, for the people I love, for the life I want to build." Because when your mind is at peace, everything else begins to bloom, your body, your relationships, your dreams. And that, perhaps, is the greatest transformation of all. At the end of the day, mental health is not a luxury. It is the foundation of a life worth living. You can have glowing skin, a strong body, a promising career. But if your heart is restless and your mind is weighed down, none of it will feel enough. Mental health is the invisible key that unlocks balance, clarity, and quiet joy. Please remember this gentle truth. You do not need to be perfect. You do not need to have it all figured out. What you need is peace in your soul. The kind of peace that lets you rest without guilt, set boundaries without fear, and love yourself without hesitation. So, if you are listening to this and feel the heaviness of exhaustion pressing down on you, take this as your sign. You are allowed to pause. You are allowed to care for your mind just as tenderly as you care for your body. Because when your mental health flourishes, everything else in your life begins to bloom. If this message resonates with you, follow or arise to continue this journey of self-love and mental health. Share this video with a friend who may be silently struggling, because sometimes the softest words reach someone right when they need them most. And before you go, I would love to hear from you. Tell me in the comments, what small thing are you doing every day to care for your mental health? Your words might be the gentle reminder another woman, somewhere out there, desperately needs tonight. I'll see you in the next video, ladies. Until then, keep rising, keep healing, and keep loving yourself.